Hi everyone, welcome back to my page. Brooklyn Grammy, formerly known as Something About Everything. I decided to change the name because something happened with my YouTube, and when I was trying to find my page, I found that there were dozens and dozens of pages with the same name. So I decided to change my name to Brooklyn Grammy. No one out there is named Brooklyn Grammy that I found, and I'll still be talking something about everything. So please stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in today. And today we will be talking about resumes. I have my little cap on because it's a little chilly today. And here we go. Okay. A resume is a necessary document when you're looking for work. Everyone asks for a resume, from Target to Bank of America. Everyone wants to see a resume. Resume can be simple, a resume can be complicated. The simpler, in my experience, the better. Unless you're a doctor or a lawyer or a PhD teacher, which we'll be talking about in a couple of minutes, your resume could be a little more complicated. But for a regular resume, it should have no more than 10 years worth of your experience if you have, if you're an older worker, if you've been out in the workforce that long. And it should be probably no more than 3 pages. Although my personal resume is about 4 pages long because I have extensive experience. I have 10 years worth of experience, but I also have a lot of schooling. So in order to list my schooling and in order to list my the softwares that I've been exposed to and the certifications, it's 4 pages long. And then I have another resume that is 2 pages long, and that's the resume I use if I'm looking for writing work or any kind of adjunct teaching work. It's shorter because all my certifications are not on that resume because they don't matter. Okay, so here we go. A resume, as I said, lists your work history and experience. It's a summary of your skills and education. It should be no more than 1 to 3 pages long and 10 years worth of work experience. Now there's another document called the CV, which is a curriculum vitae, which is Latin for course of life. This is usually used for jobs in academia and outside of the United States. It's more comprehensive. It usually lists what's on a regular resume, plus your achievements, awards, honors, publications. And as I mentioned before, this is usually something if you're a PhD and you're going to work at a university, or you have a master's degree, you're working as an adjunct. Universities care about this stuff, obviously, because when they're hiring teachers and professors, they want to know what you've published. Some PhDs and some teachers have, written books or publications that have won Pulitzer Prizes. So that one is going to be a little more extensive. Now, here in the United States, we have many, many foreign firms. And sometimes the people interviewing you, maybe on the phone before you get an in-person interview, may say, oh, please submit your CV, because they use it interchangeably because they're used to whatever's going on in their country. Usually a CV is used, as I said, by in academia or by foreign firms, or outside of the United States, I should say. But here, as I said, keep in mind that if you're applying to work in a foreign firm, someone might say CV, and it's the same thing as a resume in this case. If you're applying for a job, in a foreign firm, and usually that would be maybe banking, which is my background, banking. Now, you should have more than one resume because different jobs require different things. For example, if you're going to apply for a part-time job at Target, they may not need to know that, you're certified this, that, the other. The simpler the better. They want to know you've worked, what you've done. And also, if you're applying for a job online, you need to have several resumes because let's say you're applying for a job at Bank of America. And Bank of America requires something specific, such as they want to know if you know the Microsoft Office suite, which is Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. Now, because of keywords, if your resume says, let's say the job description states, must know Excel or has to have worked with pivot tables, and your resume says that you know the Microsoft Office suite, their computer will not pick up your resume because it doesn't say Excel or Word or PowerPoint. So when you're reading the job description of the job that you're applying for, you need to put those words. If you want to get an interview, or at least someone, a human, to look at your resume, you need to add those keywords to your resume. So that's how you might end up with several resumes. You may have your basic one that lists everything, and then you might have another one that lists something, you know, these other little items that may not have been in your original resume. And again, I recommend you reading the job application and adding those keywords to your resume if you want it to be picked up by a human. Otherwise, if the computer doesn't see the words, it's not going to pick it up. Now, I stated before about fancy resumes or simple resumes. Okay, this is a template of a resume. Very basic. Some people like to put their last name's initial here or something like that, like big or something. But I recommend something very simple because companies just want simple. They just want to be able to read your resume in a format that's not going to have them looking all over the place. Okay, so also one thing that to me doesn't really matter on the bottom of your resume when you say references upon request, that's kind of antiquated. You don't really need to say that because if a company asks for your resume, you're going to present them. You're not going to say, well, I'm not going to give you my resume, my references. You're going to present them. So it's kind of redundant to say references upon request. It doesn't really matter. Now I'm going to show you a resume template. Hopefully you can see this. See there? It says John Q. Public, and then there's the whatever your email or Gmail address and your phone number. See that there? Very simply. Hope you can see that. Then there you have a career summary, and under that you have professional experience. Now this is a template, so I have very simply, and you write whatever. And not everyone has a career summary. Some people just start with their professional experience. So you do what you think, you know, how you think your resume feels right, looks right. If you have a career summary, fine. If you don't, fine. This one says, a punctual and dedicated individual who is always up to a challenge. I'm looking for a position in whatever, X, where I can expand my knowledge in this arena as well as excel and grow. I work very well with others, yet I also work efficiently on my own. Very simple. And again, depending upon what you're doing. If you're a compliance professional, which is what I am, a compliance professional, I would say, you know, compliance professional who has extensive knowledge in, you know, BSA, USA Patriot Act, blah, blah, blah. Those are the things that I work with. BSA is the Bank Secrecy Act, and that's what I would put there. Then the second thing here, see it says professional experience, and it has a date, December 2018 to present, a writer, which is the title that you are, and this is, I took this out of a friend's resume, Brooklyn, New York, and then you see this, bullet points, which is where you list what you do. So here, her first bullet point said, currently working on a novel about President Lincoln. Simple. That's what she's doing right now. Prior to that, there's another job here. If you look here, it says May to June, ABC, Bank, New York, New York. So you put the company, where it's located, and then your position in bold, consultant. Then you put a little little dot here. Oh my gosh, what is this called? A, you know, to list. I just said it too. Oh my gosh, my brain. To list what it is that you've done. And you could list, so consultant, you can say, first bullet point, thank you. First bullet point, you know, wrote reports about monthly figures or whatever it is that you did. You list it using bullet points. And of course, you don't have to say every single little thing, but you put in the main things that you were working on. And then here on this one, the education is after the professional experience. So here you have 2 bullet points. It says Baruch College, a BA in Business Communications, and then Duke University Certificate English Composition. That's what this person did. Then here you have certifications or memberships. See that? Now some people have this, other people don't, so don't add it, of course. This one says certification and member. Certification, Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialist, that's what I do. And then a member of the Association of Certified Money Laundering Specialists. Again, if you don't have that, you omit that. And then the last, but not least, is software and other. See the bullet points listing what you know? So this particular template resume says Outlook, which is email, which is used in a lot of companies. Then it says MX, Microsoft, Excel, Word, PowerPoint. Second bullet says fluent in Spanish. See that? Reading, writing, and speaking. Third one says staff training. Now the last one is an interesting point. Depending upon the job that you're taking, this particular resume has volunteer information on here. Now if your particular job is looking for someone who has worked in nonprofit or who has done volunteer work, then you would include that. If you're applying to work in a bank, you may not necessarily need to include, but there are a lot of corporations that want to see that you do other things other than work, that you are what they call a well-rounded person. I used to work for a company that actually gave you 1 day off a year for you to go do volunteer work. So something like this, in that case, would make sense because they say, oh, okay, this person already is a person that seems to be well-rounded, they volunteer. This particular one says volunteer December 2011 to the present because this person has been volunteering at this particular place that time. It says their title, which is here in bold, right there. And it says social and media coordinator. And then it just says All My Children Association. That's just a made-up name for our purposes. A community organization tasked with promoting community spirit, etc. Activities include project management, photography, events planning, and coordination. So that's your very basic, very simple resume. But it gets the job done because it says your career summary, if you want to include one, your professional experience, your education, certifications and memberships, if any, and software and other, which tells them what kind of software you know how to use and anything other such as, you know, you speak a foreign language or you have trained staff in the past, which of course, if you've done that, that would be in one of your bullet points here, right? That you have trained staff. And then the volunteer work. That's your resume. Now, one thing I do not recommend, I do not recommend that you fake it till you make it, i.e. lie on your resume. Because it doesn't always work and then it makes you look untrustworthy and makes you look like a liar. Now, I'm not saying that, I mean, there are some, you know, there may be a job out there that you could fake it till you make it, but a lot of these jobs now, they want specific knowledge. For example, this is a Venn diagram. It says, shows all possible logical relations between a finite collection of different sets. I don't know what that means, but I'm saying if a job you're applying to says must know Venn diagrams, don't say you know Venn diagrams if you don't. Because a job like that is likely to have you working on something like that the first day. They see your resume, they say, oh, this person's ready to go. And then they give you a stack of something and ask you to create a Venn diagram or pivot tables. And if you don't know what that is, these are pivot tables, then, you know, what are you going to do at that point? I know how to do pivot tables, very simple ones. This says a table of statistics that summarizes the data of a more extensive table. Summary might include sums, averages, or other statistics which the pivot table groups together. Again, this is a very simple one. You know, you put in a simple formula, it gathers all the information, puts it in a table. But if you don't know how to do pivot tables, then you're going to be SOL. And I suggest that, you know, something like that, something so simple, don't lie on your resume. Just say what you know, and, you know, so you could go in there with confidence. You don't have to worry about things like that or being asked to do something like that that you don't know how to do when you said you didn't know how to do it. Now, if you're in the arts, hairdresser, makeup, artist, in those cases, this particular resume session is more for, you know, corporate jobs. That's what I know, corporate jobs, or a simple, I don't want to say simple, but a job that may be like, you know, UPS, Target, most jobs, I'm going to say most jobs you could use this resume. But if you're an artist, you know, a lot of those places that you're going to require a portfolio. So you would have a portfolio of the makeup you've done, of the hair you've done, of the drawings you've done, of if you've, you know, shown your art in exhibitions. So that would be something that's included as a as part of your resume. Now, a job nowadays could take 1 to 3 months to get. You might have multiple interviews, and you may or may not get the job, even after if you've had 3 or 4 interviews, which has happened to me, which has happened to friends. You have 3 or 4 interviews. First, they interview you, via Skype or FaceTime, or rather, first they do a phone, and then they do a FaceTime, and then they have you come in person, where you put on your suit and everything, and bring in, whatever information, and then you don't get hired. But don't despair, because a lot of times that has nothing to do with you. There are a lot of factors. Maybe the job was posted, had to be posted. A lot of times companies have to post jobs, even though they already have an internal candidate in mind. They are obligated to post it by human resources or whatever the circumstances are, so that by the time you get there, you're really redundant. They've already, made up their mind that they're going to hire Bob, but they have to bring somebody in to show that they interviewed someone. Also, maybe the interview, like I went on an interview one time where the woman came in all flustered and everything, and I had to ask her, so, do you want to do this on a different day? Because she seemed like flustered. And what happened in that case was that I was interviewing for her position, and she was going to get promoted. Then what happened was that the promotion didn't come through for her, so the position that I was interviewing for wasn't even available any longer. But no one told me. She forgot to tell the agency, so the agency couldn't tell me. So it was like a little messy, but like I said, if you don't get a job, don't think it's you, because there's a lot of factors at play. Also, there are a lot of free online courses with reputable universities. For example, I just took a course with Duke University. I took an English composition course because I had applied for a job teaching at a college, and they said that my experience was a little dated, that I needed, more up-to-date experience. So I took a course at Duke. Now, this course at Duke, even though it's a top-notch university, was free. But it was free only if you didn't want anybody to grade your paper and you didn't want a certificate. If you just wanted the benefit of the course, fine. But if you wanted a certificate, which I did, because I was specifically told that my experience was dated, I wanted the certificate, and I wanted everything that I wrote to be looked at and to be graded, because, to make sure that my experience was still up to par. So that one was $50. I paid the $50, done. Now, I took that course through a company called Coursera, Coursera. You can Google that. And they have all types of courses from all different universities. I'm talking Harvard, what's that other one over there? Yale, Stanford, Duke. And you can buy a package that's $39 to $79 per month. And then you could take, courses, or you can do a one-off like I did. I paid my $50. I took my course, done. And to do that, you can type in Coursera, like I said, or you can type in free courses and everything pops up. There's another site called Udemy. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Udemy. They're an online learning platform, same thing, courses. Now, the difference with Udemy is that they do not provide certificates. Some courses are better than others. I think some of them have previews that you could look at the preview, and you could look at maybe the first 5 minutes of a course, so you can gauge for yourself whether you think it's worth it or not. Now, a lot of companies, like for example, when I got my Duke certificate, I put it on my resume immediately. But because Udemy is not accredited, it's not accepted by employers as being a valid certification. Now, I checked just today, and their top courses at Udemy were all computer courses. So if you're looking to brush up on computer courses, that you could actually say, yeah, I know how to do this, and you could put it down in your other, I know ABC, software, and, in a case like that, I just said, don't lie on your resume. But in a case like that, if you took a course on Udemy, they don't give certifications, but you paid for this course, you go on there, you do well, you understood it, then you can put it on your resume under other, saying, I know ABC software. Oh, okay, ABC software. If you can talk about it and you can say, I used it at ABC Bank. Okay, no one may know the difference, but make sure that you know the software and whatever it is that's on your resume, because again, you don't want to look untrustworthy. Now, last but not least, we're going to talk really quickly, because I don't want to drone on too long, about cover letters. Some jobs online will ask you for a cover letter. Now this particular cover letter is very simple. It has here on this side your address, the date, on this side the address of the people, or if you don't have an address, if it's, you know, if it says ABC Corporation, the position, director of blah blah, and then you say, dear hiring manager. Then in your cover letter you have to tell them why you think, you know, they want to know why you think this job is for you. This particular one very simply says, I'm applying for the position of director of blah blah. I saw on Indeed. A lot of them want to know where you saw this position. I believe I would be a great addition to your team. Once you say that, you go on to say why you think you would be a great addition to the team. I have a BA in communications. I worked at ABC Company as communications director, where I sent out press releases, blah, 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 whatever you did. And then you could say professionally, I have this certification if you have a certification. And then you can just talk about, you know, whatever you've done in the past. That's already listed on your resume, but you're selling yourself in this cover letter. It's a little more informal. You're talking to them about yourself, and this is what they want to see, that your conversation can flow and that you can sell yourself to the company. And then at the end, this one, and it's all the same. It's saying all the same thing about this is what I did, this is what I've done. And then at the end, it says, I'm an experienced, proactive, hardworking individual with exceptional organizational skills, and I believe I would be a great addition to your team. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you. And then your name and your number. Very simple cover letter. And with cover letters, the good thing about cover letters, like with resumes, when I say have several resumes, you can have one basic cover letter and then you switch it out. Just again, be careful that you format it to the job that you're applying for so that it makes sense. You don't want to send ABC Corporation a job, you know, that says, oh, I'm a director. I was the director of communications at ABC Company, but yet you're applying to, I don't know, be a manager at Target. And that may not require that. That may require, you know how to handle staff, or you know how to do something else. So just be careful when you're sending out resumes and cover letters that you're sending out the correct information. Make sure that you're putting whatever you're putting down there, you know how to do. If it's something that you can think you can fake it till you make it, that's on, you know, I don't condone that. But again, I don't know personally any jobs like that. The jobs that I've applied for in corporate America are pretty specific, and they expect you on day 1 or day 2. Okay, day 1 you may be getting, you know, your ID and all that, but on day 2, if you said, you know, pivot tables, and there's a backlog on all this data that needs to be condensed into a table, they're going to give it to you, and you better be able to run with it. So that's my spiel for today. Resumes, cover letters. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for visiting Brooklyn Grammy. Formerly Something About Everything, but Brooklyn Grammy is still going to be talking a little something about everything. And I'll see you next time. I have a couple of videos set up, and I'll be releasing them little by little. I just have to do, you know, minor tweaks to them. But again, thank you for visiting my page. If you have any questions, or if you want me to talk about anything specific, you can still email me at somethingabouteverything26@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys soon again. And please subscribe to my page and tell all your friends about me. Thank you.